We did a video on this for Mortal Kombat 13, now it's Injustice's turn. Imagine booting up like a new Injustice 3 and the first thing you see is a character select screen that makes absolutely no sense, but in the best way possible. And I'm not talking about just DC heroes, but I want crossover fighters so wild that you think that somebody modded it. That's where guest characters sort of get interesting for fighting games. And it doesn't matter what you think of guest characters in fighting games, the truth of the matter is fighting games have slowly turned guest characters into headline features. They sort of drive the post-game content. And in something like Mortal Kombat 1, we've already seen how far they're willing to push it with characters like Homelander, Omni-Man, Ghostface, Conan, characters that are so wild. But Injustice is a different kind of sandbox. Of course, it's not very violent, so they don't really have those violent characters, but that opens the door to new possibilities that I want to get into, because Injustice is grounded in superheroes, but flexible enough to bend reality. So instead of playing it safe with predictable picks, I want to give my wish list for outlandish characters that could be in Injustice 3. And I'm picking characters that feel illegal to include, something sort of along the lines of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in Injustice 2, on how that sort of dropped everyone's jaws when they seen that pick. They were like, yo, what the hell? But yeah, I feel like these kind of characters that I'm about to say make the community explode on announcement. But before we get into it, if you guys don't know me by now, I'm Mr. Frosty Flames, but you can call me Mike. We do anything gaming, reviews, news, analysis, commentary, and we do it in a chill way with no over editing BS. So if you like that style of content, make sure you hit that subscribe button and join the Mr. Frosty Flames Legion. We're closing in on 1700 subs, so make sure you enlist now and join the Legion. Anyways, back to the video. So for my first pick for the Injustice 3 guest roster wishlist, I want to start with something that sounds impossible at first because it's out of the kids TV show, and that's actually Ben 10. And I'm not talking about like a cameo or a sidekick or something, a fully playable Ben 10 with the Omnitrix as his entire moveset. Like mid-match transformations would completely shift how you play. I know people want Beast Boy as a character, but he could be something akin to the Beast Boy style of gameplay where you transform mid-match. Like you could have Heat Blast for zoning pressure, Forearms for grapples and power, and XLR8 for speed rushdown resets. It wouldn't just be a fighter, it would be like a constantly evolving toolkit, and it would be very, very cool to play as and to like lab against and to lab with. Or you could just choose what type of guy you want to play as before the match starts, something like how the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles played in Injustice 2. Now if you take that and go even further, you get a set of guest characters, or a guest character, however you want to view it, that I've been wanting for forever, and that's the Power Rangers. And I would put them as a single character system, again sort of like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Now you could probably choose whatever color you want, and that would be in like the inventory or whatever you say, like the gear system where you select your skin or something. And I say that they should make each Power Ranger a different style of character. Like for example, like you could have the Red Ranger and he could be like rush down offense, the Blue Ranger defensive counterplay, Green Ranger like unpredictable specials and mix-up, etc, etc. It turns every match into a team fight inside a single slot, and that's what makes these picks insane, because these characters don't just join the roster, they change how the game is played. And that's why I wanted to categorize Ben 10 and the Power Rangers together, because they do have that transformation feeling where you could sort of choose who you want to play as. And now say they had like a theme for one of the DLC packs, like a guest character theme, and this is an unexpected route that I've seen people request, but I don't think it's getting the love it deserves, and that's anime. It pushes it into chaos territory because these characters have the moveset, they have the personality, and they have like the hype factor and the popularity of modern characters. And I know it'll be weird seeing anime characters, especially in the Injustice like sort of art style, but it's NetherRealm and I believe they could make it possible. Say they do something like Ichigo Kurosaki, they could do like someone like Naruto, Luffy with like, you know, the stretchy elastic style fighters. They could do Tanjiro from Demon Slayer. They could even do like an AOT. Imagine if they had like say Eren Yeager or Mikasa or something, and they have them like zipping around the map, sort of like how if you guys played the old Mortal Kombat or even Mortal Kombat 1, if you've seen Mavado, he has that sort of like grappling hook style gameplay. They've always reminded me of ODM Gear, the way he could sort of like connect to something and just launch himself forward. That's how it kind of works with Movado. Imagine if they had him as a guest character, and they could pave the way. If they ever want to put Movado in Mortal Kombat 2 or whatever game's coming up, Mortal Kombat 13, then you have, boom, a template ready with Eren Yeager or whoever, right? That would be so cool. With these hype characters, they would do hype combos. It would turn like Mortal Kombat into sort of like a cool anime fighter without it actually being anime. And just think about it, it would completely shift Injustice combat identity, because instead of grounded superhero exchanges, you get screen filling abilities, transformation phases, and layered combat states. It wouldn't feel like balance anymore, it would feel like a spectacle. And imagine if they added even characters like Goku. You could finally get that Goku versus Superman that everyone's always wanted. And a personal preference is, if they ever bring back a guest character, I would like to see characters like Spawn or Kratos come back, maybe in Injustice, because Spawn definitely does fit that superhero vibe, because it's Injustice and he would be cool regardless of where he's at. And then Kratos, because I would like to see Kratos, especially if they're gonna go for a more older Kratos, fighting like Superman or the Flash. It would be cool. It would be like another spectacle that we could see, because he's used to dealing with gods and fighting overpowered foes, and the best place to go for that is the DC universe. And some wildcard picks that I say have a closer to 0 chance possibility of ever making it into an NRS game are some Nintendo gaming crossovers that I think would be very cool. Someone like Link from The Legend of Zelda with the sword and shield. I feel like he would have some crazy moves that he could do. Someone like Samus Aran, because they could turn like zoning into a layered battlefield with missiles, beams, and mobility control like Mega Man. It would be crazy. You could have Bayonetta or people like that. Dante again. I know I said Dante for Mortal Kombat guest character wishlist, but he could also come back. Same with Leon Kennedy. He could bring like tactical spacing, counters, and survival-based pressure. So these gaming characters do fit in Injustice. And you could also have other characters from movies that WB could have, like say they did like a Lord of the Rings crossover. You could have Aragorn. He could have like that ghost army behind him with his sword and shield. Imagine if you had like Legolas in the back, like shoot an arrow or something, like the whole Fellowship of the Ring. That would be cool. Any of them. And this is the complete wildcard pick that I would love to see, and I'm pretty sure nobody would disagree with me, and that's Darth Vader. I'm sure Disney would never allow it because they're so stingy with their rights, especially Star Wars rights, but imagine Darth Vader in an Injustice game, or any like Star Wars character period, like Luke Skywalker or something. He could like force choke you, he could do the lightsaber throw, all these force related abilities. He would be badass, I'm telling you. Now this is a perfect situation where NetherRealm stops holding back completely and they do no safe crossover rules, because at that point Injustice isn't just a fighting game anymore, it becomes a crossover simulation where anything is possible. And I know all these guest characters aren't going to come in. Typically I'm very stingy with guest characters. In Injustice I'd rather see DC characters have the spotlight than guest characters, but if I'm making a guest character video, I might as well just go all out and say my picks for who I'd want in the game. I say maybe per DLC pack, maybe 1 to 2 max. But this is 2026, and in modern fighting games, especially NRS fighting games and something like Injustice 3, it feels like guest characters are no longer optional hype, because they use these guests, especially famous names, as marketing tools, content drivers, and long-term engagement engines for people to buy their DLC. And it means like a single reveal, say like a Homelander or something like they shown in the past, a single reveal can dominate discussions for weeks, and it could blow up on social media, bringing tons and tons of hype for the game. So the goal for NRS isn't just to pick recognizable names, it's to pick characters that create conversation instantly, even if they don't seem like they should exist together. But this is NRS, you know. I'm pretty sure they have some crazy stuff up their sleeve, especially for a game like Injustice 3. So at the end of the day, the most powerful guest characters aren't always the obvious ones. They're the ones that make the entire community stop and question reality for a second. Because in a game like Injustice, the best crossover isn't the one that makes sense. It's the one that makes people say there's no way this is real, but I'm gonna play it anyways and I love it. And that's how you turn a roster into a headline, and that's how you keep players playing and engaged for a while. But that's just my take on Injustice 3's guest character wishlist. Let me know yours down below. If you like this video, make sure you share, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to join the Legion. And thank you all for watching. Mr. Frosty Flames out. Ciao.